Hi guys, it's Katie from Tree of Life Wellness. I wanted to take a minute to show you what a remote session looks like. Of course, I have clients that come to my office and they're on my table and they get the hands-on experience, but I do have other clients that don't live nearby. And I have other clients that live nearby but choose to have remote sessions for various reasons. Vivian, uh, she developed this technique during COVID when, of course, people were not allowed to see each other in person. And it, of course, has taken off since then. In my crystal surgery studies, most of the practice sessions that I have given, because we're practicing on other crystal surgery students all over the world, they're all virtual or distance or remote sessions. And a lot of people have trouble wrapping their head around how this works. If you know anything about quantum physics, that's going to help you understand how this is possible. So if you want to dive down that rabbit hole and see what scientists are doing, just to give you like a little nutshell, because of course the science teacher in me always wants to know more. But basically, scientists have found that you can kind of tickle an atom on one side of the planet, and then all the way over at a different place, they're seeing a reaction. So just having the kind of intention that I'm connecting with someone elsewhere, that allows me to work on them via the etheric web. So we're all connected with this invisible web that, of course, scientists are now discovering. And that's how I'm able to work on you, even if you're in Australia or New Zealand, and I've worked on people in those countries. And I'm here in Ohio. So I absolutely love both in-person and remote sessions. They both have their pros and cons. When someone's here in my office, they get to feel the crystals on their body. They get to feel when I'm infusing them into their skin. They get to feel the vibration if I'm doing sound healing. So all of that can be wonderful. But because I have a much larger space I need to work on, in-person sessions don't always get as much accomplished as a remote session. And that's one of the main reasons why I love giving remote sessions, because I'm working on a really small space, because the person that I'm working on, their energy body enters this proxy crystal, and then this is like a miniature person. So because I'm working on a super small space, I'm able to get a lot more done in 1 hour. And that has a lot of benefits. Some of the other benefits is because they're not in my space and I'm really involved in their energy field in a intimate way with someone on my table, I can get a more clean read on someone's energy because I don't have any of those distractions and I'm just feeling the energy. So that can be another benefit of remote sessions. So I am working on myself today. I love to give myself weekly healing sessions. And honestly, when I got into learning all of the healing arts that I now practice, it was because I wanted to work on myself and my family for free. I have a lot of healers that I've worked with, and I've received so much benefit from every one of them. But of course, it's money and time. And I wanted to find a way to just do this for myself. And then by doing that, I found out that I actually have a talent for this. And well, the rest is history. I've been in business since 2021, and this is my full-time profession now. And I am basically living my dream. So I need an endocrine rebalance today. I'm going through perimenopause, and this is something I do at least once a month for myself. And I'm also going to be adjusting the glands within my brain, the pituitary, the pineal, and the hypothalamus. And that's kind of the main things that I'm doing in this healing session. But of course, like all crystal surgery sessions, I'm going to begin with basic prep. And I'm going to make sure my chakras are looking good. and I'll do some decording and some detoxing, which are elements in almost every crystal surgery session that we give. So to begin, I need to clear out my proxy crystal. And we use our geode bowl. And this is kind of like our cleaner. It creates this vortex of energy. And when I introduce a crystal into that cone that comes out of this, it cleanses the crystal of all negative energy. So I first need to make sure my proxy crystal that I'm about to put my energy body in is cleared. So I'm going to do that real quick. And I'm just going to focus on crystal surgery today. I'm not going to do Reiki on myself or sound healing. All right, so that's cleared. Now I'm going to put my energy body in this proxy. Okay, I feel that change of pressure and I know that it is ready to go. So we always begin with fanning, and this kind of helps separate me from my environment and kind of clear off the outside of my energy field. Now, I don't always give myself a full session. Sometimes I'm just coming in here to do just a little quick tune-up, and other times I want a full session. Today's one of those days I want a full session. Okay. And of course, I'm working as a practitioner, but I'm also feeling what's going on energetically. So when you work on yourself, it's kind of an interesting role to take on. Now I'm going to sweep my energy field and remove any negative energy that's in there. You might be like, what am I doing here? I'm pretending that there's feet coming out of this proxy crystal. So we use our imagination a lot. In this proxy crystal, like this tip is my crown chakra and the base is my root chakra. And because my proxy crystal's on the smaller side, there's no head or leg. There's like no legs coming out of this. So I'm imagining that my legs are coming out of this crystal and I'm holding that image as I'm clearing the bottoms of my feet. All right, so now I need to check my chakras. And your chakras will close from time to time. My chakras will close. If I have a really stressful experience, they're going to close. So I always check my chakras regularly because that is a key step in my personal healing journey. So I use a pendulum a lot of times to check chakras. Let me just check everything out. I'm going up each chakra and I'm asking my pendulum to show me each chakra. Okay, so my chakras are looking pretty good. They're all open, they're all spinning. The root is a little bit smaller, which for me, as I'm still recuperating from my bilateral knee replacement, my root chakra is still kind of challenged. Especially recently, my pelvis is finally getting back to its correct place. And as that happens, there's a lot of movement and adjustment happening in my lower body that is a little uncomfortable, but I know that it's headed in the right direction. So my chakras look good. I am going to skip adjusting my chakras because I feel like I can do that. Sometimes I adjust them, sometimes I don't need to. So my chakras are good to go. Now I'm going to do a little bit of decording. And today I'm going to be removing cords that other people have sent to me. I'm teaching crystal surgery. I have my children, my husband, my family, my friends, and all of those people, if they think about me or we have an interaction, especially, my clients, those are cords that they send to me that I need to make sure that I remove. And I do decording every single evening. just to make sure that my energy is not attached to anybody else's, because we don't want our energy mixing with other people. We just want our energy. So I'm going to start at the root and work my way up each chakra. And I'm using my convoluted sheet quartz and my hemimorphite. And this is one of my most precious stones. I absolutely love, love, love her. And as I'm doing this, I'm pulling cords that are ready to be removed. Not every cord is ready to be removed. We do it in stages, we do it in layers, so that it's not too overwhelming to the system. And I'm also intending that I'm taking care of the front and the back of the chakras. The front typically deals with things that we're currently experiencing, and the back of our chakras have a lot to do with our past. As I'm doing this, I'm sensing with my clairsentience, what kind of cords are there, any information I can get from it. And I'm noticing some chakras have more than others. Feels good. The hemimorphite is wonderful because it kind of liquefies the cords. And you can see I'm clearing in my bowl after each one. All right, that feels great. So now that I am decorded, I'm going to move to the next stage, which is detoxifying. And we always have some kind of negative energy to remove, unless, of course, you are a pristine celestial being that has already worked through everything. But for the rest of us, we need some detoxing help. And I chose a shungite detox for myself today, which is a great precursor for the other procedures that I've selected today. I'm going to use my pyramid to first grid my liver. I'm looking for any lumpy, bumpy, thick places that need to be dug and scratched and removed. And I have celiac disease, and celiac disease is can be hard on the liver and linked to other liver diseases. I actually have mild fatty liver disease. So my liver needs some extra love and attention. And the liver, for most people, it carries some frustration, anger, that kind of energy. So if you've been experiencing those emotions, your liver probably needs some detoxing. Yeah, I'm noticing. We had a bunch of treats that we got this weekend, and that sugar, as much as I enjoy eating it, my body does not like it. So my liver is definitely needing a little extra help. All right, that feels good. And now I'm going to use my shungite spheres to infuse into the rest of my body. Now, if you were here in person on my table, I would be rubbing these crystals gently on your body. It's not a massage, but they lightly touch the body and infuse the energy within there. Periodically, I'm clearing in my bowl because these suck up that negative energy that we want to release. And right now I'm pretending I have arms coming out of this crystal. I could build them with crystals if I wanted to add to my intention. But my imagination is so vivid that I often just rely on my imagination. When I was a little girl, I would go to bed early sometimes. And I'd go to bed early because I wanted to make movies in my head. I would take stories that I enjoyed, manipulate them, change them, and I would lucid dream before bed. And I thought everybody did that until I was an adult and started like asking people, like, do you ever do this? And I found out, well, no, not everybody goes to bed an hour before they want to go to bed to lucid dream. But those exercises when I was a child have served me so much in my metaphysical studies. Now I'm pretending I'm working on each leg and foot. Oh, this is really relaxing. And while it's nice to feel the crystals in an in-person session, these infusions are just as effective at getting the properties of the crystal into the energy body and the energy field. And I'm listening to my guides, and they're, letting me know, okay, you can move on from that, do that again. In crystal surgery, you might be wondering, how do you decide what to do? I usually don't decide with my logical mind. I let my intuition come into play, and I have my guides and my spirit team help me decide what is best. Because my rational mind might think one thing, but my subconscious mind and my heart and my soul, they know everything. So I trust that guidance much more than my logical brain, which for someone who trained as a science and math teacher, that's kind of a step away from what I was used to. But I don't know. I just love working with energy. And I think at some point, all of this alternative stuff won't be so alternative, especially once the science catches up, which it's starting to happen already. Okay, so I feel great. I detoxed myself. I did decide, and you can see I'm bringing over, well, I have my proxy crystal in my skull that represents my head, and I can work directly on this. I also often like to work on a diagram. So this is a fairly large person, and I don't have a small representation of a person because I use my full-size crystals when I'm doing remote work. So this has enough space that I can, really work on that and have room for all the crystals that I want to have room for. So I also, when I was getting set up for this session, my guides were like, you need to correct your bioelectricity. So I'm going to do that really quick. Now, this technique is not in the crystal surgery textbook, but it is one that Vivian and I and most of the other crystal surgery practitioners use very regularly. Oh, I need to grab one more crystal. I'm going to place, this is black tourmaline, and this is some quartz with black tourmaline. And I'm going to take a minute. So this picture is connected to me and my proxy crystal just through my intention. And I'm going to take a minute to correct my bioelectricity. And I'm tuning into my energy body, and I'm asking to see what my bioelectricity looks like. My right lower leg definitely is challenged. Interestingly, my right hand is a little challenged right now. But luckily, this is correcting everything. Doing things a little bit different than I would do in person, of course. It's so amazing. I'm getting lots of twitching and tingling in the places that didn't have enough bioelectricity. And now they're all sparking to life, which is wonderful because we want our energy to be flowing correctly. It's one of the key things to have ideal health. All right, so all of the prep work has kind of been done for this next technique. And I'm going to add in one other little pre-technique, and I'm going to balance my hydration levels. I have mild POTS, which is clearing up, thank goodness. It just started in May, but I am having to drink a lot more and have lots more sodium, and it's kind of been an interesting journey. And this technique really helps with those symptoms. Because while a lot of us drink plenty of water, and if you don't, you should, because our water, most people are drinking water that doesn't have minerals in it, the water actually has a difficult time entering the cell. And you need to have the proper balance of minerals in order for the water to actually get within your cells. And if you don't have all those minerals, and a lot of the food we eat today, because our soil is in such bad shape, is deficient in minerals it should have. Even our healthy fruits and vegetables, they're lacking these days if they're grown in soil that is not nutrient dense or mineral dense. So, of course, we can combat that with taking supplements, drinking mineral water or spring water. But this technique also helps get the water into the cells. And I'm infusing this, so this would in person be rubbed all over my body. But since I am doing this remote, I am just infusing it through the etheric web. I love moonstone. Moonstone's such a great stone for perimenopause. So ladies, if you are struggling, this could be one of your new best friends. Yeah, okay, that feels great. Okay, so now I'm ready to begin the endocrine rebalance. So I'm going to begin with my Uvite on magnesite. This is red Uvite. It's one of my precious, precious babies. And I'm going to begin by gridding my root chakra and placing this stone. One of the benefits of working remotely is that I can actually place the crystal on the root chakra. We never do that in person for obvious reasons. But when we're working remotely, it can go right there, which is fabulous. I'm going to prep my system by gridding my energy system with some halite. And you'll notice I'm going to kind of move back and forth between working on the proxy and working on the picture, depending on what I am feeling like doing. You might be like, why are you gridding where there's no crystal or no picture? Well, your energy field is much bigger than your physical body. And when we do crystal surgery, we are working on both the energy field and the energy body, as well as, the pranic tube and chakras, your whole energy system. So I want this information to go into my energy field as well as my physical body. So I make sure to get the aura or the energy field. All right, so my body is already starting to tune in. I'm going to put him aside, but I'm really liking the tourmaline. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. Now we're going to work systematically, going from the root up, working on our endocrine system. And of course, the endocrine system controls your hormones, and hormones control just about everything in your body, right? So it's a super important technique. It's for both men and women, because of course we all have hormones. But this technique is really, really beneficial for any young girl who's just started her menstrual cycle, or for those of us that are getting ready to end our menstrual cycles. Or maybe you're not in either of those phases of life, but You might have some hormonal imbalances that you want to work on, infertility, things like that. So I'm going to use my tangerine quartz to grid my ovaries. You can do them each one at a time. These are wands that I've handmade. You might see some beautiful fancy wands that other practitioners use. But at this time of my life, I was called to make my own, which of course adds some potency when you make your own wands. And then I'm going to place a piece of carnelian on each ovary. And I'm going to kind of use my hands to activate each one. You might hear my dogs in the background. In case you don't know, I have 2 beautiful golden retrievers. Soleil is a therapy dog, and she actually will sit in during some of my healing sessions. She's a fabulous healer herself. And then Blaze, he's my protector. I'm checking in with my ovary chakras. Do they need adjusted? And my guides are like, yep, go ahead. So I'm going to use my Diamantinas to adjust both of those chakras. Every organ has a chakra. Every joint has a chakra. There are so many chakras in our bodies. It's not just the main 7. Wonderful. So moving on up, we're going to do the adrenals next. Control our stress hormones. So if you've been under a lot of stress, you might have adrenal fatigue. This can help with that. And we use Motramite, which is very crumbly, kind of dirty stone. So you'll see I've got Kleenex that I'm going to place these crystals on because they do leave a little bit of dust wherever they go. I'm going to grid my adrenal glands. And, you know, all these positions are kind of approximate, right? As long as my intention is that I'm working on the adrenals, that's where it's going to go. It's okay if it's slightly off place in my diagram. But of course, I'm in the correct neighborhood. And my other adrenal. There goes a little piece. Oh, I needed that. My adrenals were a little tired. I've been working very hard recently. This is nice. And I need to work on those chakras too. And moving up from there, we're going to work on the thymus, which is kind of your high heart area. And I'm going to use my aquamarine to prepare that area. And I'm going to place a piece of Larimar on the thymus. Now, we do a lot with circuitry and crystal surgery, and I'm going to grab some salt. So if we have a gap, like here where the crystals aren't touching and I really want the energy to flow, I can place pieces of salt in between the crystals to ensure that there's proper energy flow. So I'm going to add that in now. I'm activating each crystal. And next is the thyroid. My thyroid has issues on and off. So this is really beneficial for me in that area. My thymus was in pretty good shape. I don't need to adjust its chakra today. And then I'm going to place some blue lace agate on my thyroid. My thyroid's doing pretty good. I don't need to adjust its chakra. Move these off now. And then, of course, we've got some glands going on within the brain. We've got our pituitary gland, our pineal gland, and our hypothalamus. So first, we're going to grid the third eye area, and then we're going to grid the crown with some moldavite. And then I'll place this moldavite on the third eye to serve those glands that are in our brain. So first, the third eye. All right, and that's not going to get a crystal right away. My third eye chakra is fine. Now I'm going to grid my crown, just making sure that I'm getting all the energy taken care of. We always go wider and taller than the area we're targeting. All right, and now I'm going to place that moldavite on my third eye. And while I wouldn't do this if someone was on my table, because, you know, salt on your face, it's not really going to work well to actually physically connect. But remotely, I can. So I'm just going to place some salt once again in between these crystals to make sure that the energy is flowing well. And that is the endocrine rebalance. I'm already feeling more awake, more alive. And now I'm going to do my final main technique, and I'm going to be doing adjusting the glands and organs in my brain. So this is another great thing. I mean, everybody can benefit from this, but especially, you know, if you're facing hormonal challenges like perimenopause or facing sleeplessness or things like that, targeting those glands in the brain can really help. So with this one, I am going to be kind of using my crystal skull to kind of tune into my brain. And I'm using my imagination and my clairvoyance to see the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus. And if they need work done, the guides lift those glands out of the brain into the energy field where I can get to them and work on them. And then we use a combination. I am going to have to take my moldavite off of that third eye. We typically let this sit for 15 minutes as is to let the crystals really sink in. But it's okay that the moldavite's leaving. And what do I want on my third eye? I think I'm going to go for some tholite today when I need to replace that. All right, so I'm going to be using my zincite needle, which is my smallest crystal. So tiny. And I'm going to be using my moldavite and my kunzite to be working on these. So first I'm going to work on the pituitary. It does need work done. I'm seeing it lifting up. And then, so now I'm just kind of playing with the pituitary gland in a way, um, but precisely. And I'm using the moldavite and the zincite to kind of comb out the filaments inside of the organ. So I'll be changing my perspective to make sure that I'm really getting the crystal's energy into those glands. And then I'm kind of rolling and scraping the outside like I'm washing off a pearl and scraping off the crust that's on a pearl. And I'm going to periodically clear these because I am removing debris, energetic debris. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm using all the crystals to probe this gland. And then I'm listening for guidance, and I'm deciding what to do or how long to do something based on my guide's instruction. So now I'm going to use my kunzite with the zincite. Doing the same actions. This can really help clear up some brain fog if you're experiencing that. It's amazing what hormonal balance can do for us. All right, and that feels done. So the guides are going to lower that back in. Now I'm going to check in and see what my pituitary needs or pineal needs. There we go. Yep, it needs work done. Raising it. And I'm going to continue this motion until I've integrated and cleared off all that needs to be cleared off. The pineal gland's kind of like a pine cone shape, so I'm seeing that. You know, the pituitary is more like a pearl, and then the hypothalamus is kind of like a cone. So I'm holding all of that. In my clairvoyance right now. I'm seeing all of that. Switching to my kunzite again. It's always interesting the brain sensations I get while I'm doing this. Slow and systematic, not going too fast or too slow, making sure I'm always listening. That feels done. Hypothalamus is being raised up. So much energy flooding into my brain right now. It's wonderful. And if you want to learn how to do this, I am a teacher. Remember, I've taught for 19 years. And I am currently getting my crystal surgery teaching certificate. I have 2 students right now that I'm teaching. And always looking for more people to take this journey with me because it has been so transformative in my life. And it's always incredible to see what happens. You know, we never know exactly how the body and mind and soul will respond to a healing session. But it's pretty amazing. And crystal surgery is quite different from other forms of crystal healing. You might see people use elements from crystal surgery like the cleansing bowl or gritting. But there's a lot of people, like anybody can buy the book and start working with it and learning informally. But of course, if you want to get the real instruction from Vivian or from one of her master graduates like myself, of course, you're going to learn a lot from us. So always welcome new people into my business and into my classroom, you could say. All right, so that is done. And my finishing techniques, which are the same every time, I'm going to end with a white light infusion. I can use my white wand for that. And this just ensures that if anything was removed, which clearly things were removed, that I'm replacing all of that with white light, because we don't want to leave energetic voids where anything can just come fill it in. We want to make sure that we are replacing anything removed with white light. And then we always end with some energy generating as well. And this just kind of boosts up your whole energetic system and gets you ready. I've got a busy afternoon today with clients, so this will get me all the energy I need for those sessions. Feels so good. All right. And that's that. That is a 42-minute healing session. Typically, you know, they'd last an hour if I was working on somebody else. And I might also incorporate some of my Reiki and sound healing into that healing session. But for this demonstration purposes of this video, now you've seen what a remote session looks like. And if you're curious if it works, I just tell you to try it. All new clients with me, I always offer a 50% off discount on your first session, which is 90 minutes. I like first sessions to be 90 minutes so we have time to talk before. And going into the world of energy healing can be the first step of like scheduling your first session. Like that was a huge hurdle for me. And being willing to spend that money on myself, that was a huge hurdle for me. And I know a lot of other people are the same way. So I always offer a half off discount on your first session in case you're curious and you just want to try it out and see what it's like before, you know, going down the road and painful price and all that. So I welcome you to test out a remote session with me. They are just as potent and powerful as in-person sessions. I receive more distance crystal healing sessions from my colleagues and teacher than in-person sessions. So I can attest that they are just as wonderful. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to making a lot more of these and sharing my gifts with the world and letting you see what I do. Have a wonderful day. Bye.